Welcome everyone to our Sunday Sewcase with Parliament Quilts and Crafts. I am Latanya Patillo, proprietor of Parliament Quilts and Crafts, and we are joined today with a wonderful cast and crew of the Bleached short film, the award-winning NAACP cinematic short film. I am, again, Latanya Patillo, and we are joined by Kerri, Garrett, Marilyn Gore, and Ralph Parker III. Thank you all for joining us today, and welcome to the Parliament.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. So happy to be here.
Yes. Wonderful. Our topic for the discussion today, other than quilting, of course, is the short film Bleached. And so before we lean into our discussion, you have wonderfully given me permission and given us permission to view the short film. It is 7 minutes long, and it is 7 minutes of wonderful inspiration, and we're going to share it here for the viewers. So before we share it, I'd love for you all to kind of tee it up quickly. Kerri or Ralph, just give us a little insight into what we might expect, but don't give too much away because we're going to view it momentarily.
Yes, I'll kick it off for us. So Bleach is a powerful story that both Ralph and I created, a part of the NAACP's cinematic shorts film competition. And we created this within a very quick process. But basically the story finds a girl who's returning home after her grandma just passed away. And she finds this quilt that connects her back to her grandma and also the different community members who remind her of why she should keep her grandma's home. It will take you on the journey and you'll see how everything else unfolds, but it's really a love story to our community as well as our grandmas, and talking about the touch point of gentrification and how it affects our communities as well.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. All right, I'm going to share. Y'all get ready and love to hear your thoughts afterwards. So let's view the short film Bleached.
Excuse me. Excuse me. Hi.
Morning, ma'am. Is Miss Mary Ann in?
Oh, I'm sorry. She's not here right now. I'm Mimi. I'm her granddaughter.
I'm Solomon. Miss Mary Ann used to tutor me for English.
Really?
Yeah, can't forget. I finished this one. It was great.
Oh, wow.
She said I could pick up the next one she set aside for me. What's it called? Their eyes are watching God, I think.
Let me check.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm. Found it. Solomon? Solomon? Hello? Hey?
Hello? Is that little Amelia Ann? I haven't seen you since you were a youngin'.
Wait, Miss Ethel.
The one and only. So now, you still one of them fancy makeup people from up north?
Yes, ma'am, I am still a makeup artist.
Could have fooled me. Oh, but that's great, you know. I reckon things have changed around town since. You know, they used to call it beautifying the community. Oh, but to me, it's more like bleaching the block, paving the way to get us out of here.
I feel so guilty for being gone for so long.
Oh, I get it. There wasn't enough resources for your art here, but the community is here to support you. You know, I used to live across the street most of my life. Yeah, till me and hubby found out we just couldn't afford to stay there anymore. So I just come in and check on Marianne. Oh, which reminds me, I need to borrow some hibiscus syrup.
Oh, let me check the kitchen.
Okay. You know, with all this development, there ain't a grocery store nowhere.
Miss Ethel? What is going on? Excuse me? Excuse me? Hi. I'm Mimi.
I'm sorry about the racket. I was replacing your grandmother's mailbox for her. Is she in?
Oh, no.
No worries. Anything for Marianne. Doing odd jobs for your grandmother for cheap. It help keep the lights on.
What do I owe you?
Oh, no money, man. But if there's any more of Miss Marianne's hibiscus lemonade, I would love a cup before I leave.
Here we are.
Hey, Amelia Ann. This is your grandma. Just calling and thinking about you. All right, now, give me a call when you get a chance. I miss you. Don't forget, Grandma loves you a whole bunch. Love you to stitches.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful work. Thank you so much for allowing one creating that beautiful piece, and allowing us to view it and share that wonderful story with you. So I want to take a minute for us to process that, and then jump right in and just talk a little bit about one, what inspired you all to create this wonderful work of art around tradition, around ancestry. And in doing so, please, as you begin, introduce yourself, and tell us how you came to this work and then what inspired you to do the piece. So, Kerri, I'll start with you, and then Ralph, please, and then Marilyn.
Okay, well, hello everyone. My name's Kerri Garrett. I'm the co-director of Bleached. My background starts in performing arts, originally rooted in the theater and dance, as well as acting. And I found myself coming down to Atlanta. I'm originally from Columbus, Ohio, and attended Clark Atlanta University. So just studied theater there, and then also working within the industry. I ended up creating films and telling stories. So participating in the NAACP's short film competition over the summer is where I met Ralph. We didn't know each other before we created this piece, but just a little bit into our process, we kind of spitballed some short film ideas to each other, different log lines. And our task for the NAACP was to create a 7-minute short film that focused on social impact. So we tossed a couple ideas. I shared the idea of Bleached. It was kind of also in line with another idea I had called The Candy Lady, but we landed on Bleached. It felt very poignant, and then from there we both crafted like the story. Ralph is a native North Carolina, a person from North Carolina. I forget what you guys say, but he had more of the historical ties for the land and everything like that. So I'm gonna alley-oop it to him so he can share, his connection and ties with the story.
Wonderful.
Yeah, thank you for the intro. Yep, I'm Ralph, born and raised in North Carolina. Grew up in Wake Forest, but born in Wilmington. And yeah, I went to school at UNCSA in Winston-Salem, and after that, I'm now LA based. About to start my grad school program at Cal Arts for my MFA in film direction. And yeah, I came into the NAACP competition. Was paired with Kerri, and yeah, it was a lot of our ideas together. Both had kind of a magical realist element to it, so it was just like a really natural progression with ideas and such. But yeah, Bleached and the Candy Lady definitely came first, and I think for on my part, I implemented the idea of the quilt specifically. And just because I was thinking of quilts in my family, I had a lot of quilts that I grew up with in my household, made by different family members I had never met, that passed before my time and stuff. So yeah, I thought that it would be a pretty powerful metaphor, to put different, pieces of cloth in different lives and stories and stitch them together, through uplifting and maintaining the community. So yeah, I think that's kind of where it came about.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. And then what was the connection? Let's see, Marilyn, how did you get connected to Kerri and Ralph?
Well, I think I always fall into things, but Ralph, grandfather was my high school uh, band conductor, and I was in the band at BCT, Brunswick County Training School, and one of his cousins or two of his cousins suggested that since I was in Charlotte for him to contact me. So we talked, and I was just giving him ideas, but he kept saying, I need somebody that hand quilts to be the grandmother in the film. And the only thing you'll be doing is showing your hands. And I said, okay, I think I can do that for you. And he was happy. So yes.
Lovely. So those were your hands that we saw. And was that your voice as well on the
yes.
End? Yeah.
On the end. Yeah. And that was not in the deal. He called me the day before they were showing the film and said, I need you to do this voicemail. And I said, okay. So yes.
I apologize profusely once again for interrupting your meal, but it worked out beautifully. It came together so well.
Yeah, my daughter
Thank you.
said she cried and she don't want to see the film again because it makes her cry. So hopefully she's watching today, but yes.
Hopefully she doesn't cry.
Yeah.
Sure. That really speaks to, in my mind, how things just come to be, right? Like the two of you were paired through the competition, didn't know each other, but you wouldn't know it through the filmmaking, right? Because that piece is so, it just kind of speaks to connection. It resonated with me too. Tell your daughter, Marilyn, she wasn't alone, because it brings me to tears really every time I look at it. And I've looked at it several times. So it really says to me that the connections are strong, and it really comes across in the film, the legacy, the humanity of it, along with the messaging around the social impact piece, which I'd love for you all to speak about, because you were able to do and say so much in what we see as 7 minutes. Now we know filmmaking is much, takes much more than that, but you turned it right around and really said quite a few things in 7 minutes. Let's talk a little bit about that. And you did a little bit, but I want you to expound on exactly what you were trying to convey through the stitching and the piecing together. I love it.
Yeah, so the idea when it comes to bleach is that gentrification often comes to our neighborhoods and our communities underneath the guise of beautification. And it does that, but oftentimes it also raises property taxes, which displaces the therefore people that they say these things are for. We lose community, we lose culture. I've been based in Atlanta for the last 10 years, so specifically on the West Side, West End area. So I've just seen the different transformation, how the community has changed, and then also just how the culture shifts and how we lose important things for our history, just so that we can see things move forward. So what you see with Bleached is definitely a story that has a platform of character-driven storytelling, but also talking upon these different experiences that we experience in our own neighborhoods, within our own communities. Like Ethel sharing that her and her husband were displaced because they just couldn't afford to live in that community anymore because property taxes were raised. And we're working on an extended cut. So our other characters like Solomon and James, they do share why they were displaced. But that's just a little bit more so speaking to the social impact. But I will say as well, like to speak on the point that you had shared about just a little bit of our intentionality and the care, both Ralph and I feel like that's something we connected on, was being able to weave a piece of our family, a piece of our community into the piece. Like that's why you could kind of feel the care through the screen, because those were just those different layers that we felt like was necessary. Because again, we had a small amount of time, but it can still be very poignant and powerful if you're intentional about that message.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, just going off of that, there's a lot of family names are used for characters in the film. A lot of the quilts that are seen like lying around are like from our family quilts. But even bigger, like it was super close for me, just on a connection level. You know, uh, Being away from North Carolina for so long and all my family is still there. Um, I reconnected with a lot of people, extended family that put me in touch with Marilyn. We had to call in a lot of favors, and the friends and family that I had built in North Carolina for my entire life really came in to support, and it was a really beautiful thing. There were just a lot of moments where Kerri and I would just be like in awe of how much the film was also connecting to other people, other crew members that were just interested and super invested in the filmmaking process because of their personal connection, whether it be experiencing gentrification, losing a grandparent, any of these things. So yeah, it was just a super super special process.
Yeah,
Production process.
It was for sure a very affirming experience. And like now just hearing you talk about it back, it's very much, it took us on a genealogy path, very much family archival work, which is always fun to get into, learning more about your roots and your lineage and where you come from.
Absolutely. Thank you. So thinking about the community piece, right? I mean, community is huge. How did you decide which community voices we would hear from?
That's a good question.
Yeah, I think like we had a lot of ideas. Like we bounced through a lot of options. But I think we focused on the social impact and kind of what we wanted them to represent for each person.
For sure.
I know early on we wanted Solomon to have some sort of focus on education and how some black or urban schools are often disenfranchised or like ill funded. Um, I think with Ethel, she was just more of a
She
like
was the wisdom.
general community member. Yeah,
Yeah, she was
wisdom.
the wisdom, the community member who had been there.
Also references the like lack of medical care, access to medical care,
And
and
food deserts.
yes, food deserts. And then James was more of like representing like the labor of love that well, as you see in the film, they even say it, that kind of it takes to maintain the community. It's not like a passive act.
Mhm.
And I think that's why we kind of have him there to bring it on home at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, and different generations too. I think we wanted to be diverse.
Yeah. Thank you for that. I think it's important to, again, understand how the many ways community runs through that and the connection to quilting as a community and as a communal endeavor, right? So, Marilyn, I'd love to hear from you about, what it meant for you as the quilter to participate, and then what the connections are, or that you felt would kind of translate through like the art of quilting, how you show up as a quilter, how the community surrounds the work that you do. I mean, even you just spoke about it, you had to call in a lot of favors, right? But that speaks to why these traditions and things are important in community, and quilting is a piece of that for a variety of reasons. So Marilyn, tell us a little bit about how what that community connection was like for you, other than the obvious, right? You got that phone call. But
Right. Yes. Well, I've been quilting since I was 14 years old. And I always say I'm only 17. But anyway, I've been quilting since I was 14, lived on a farm. So it wasn't too much to do besides work, education, and religion. So I just fell into it. I love it. I say now I know over 500 quilts, and I love the history of quilting. In fact, my master's degree was about the history of quilts in North Carolina. So the history is very important to me, and I love the part of telling the story about our African American quilters. And there's a lot of us out here, and we have so many that are popular. I don't think that's the word, but powerful more than popular. Bisa Butler, Miss Mazzoni, and just a lot. And I do a lecture about quilting. And when I show pieces and they say, oh, I didn't know about this. I didn't know about that quilter. And so it's just important to me that the information gets out. And it was so wonderful when they were showing the film at the Wednesday at the NAACP final meeting. I heard somebody on this side of me gasp when they got to the hands, and I said, "Oh, we're gonna win this. I know." So, and I told someone later. I like to hum and sing while I'm quilting, and I almost, when I was putting my arms around her, I had to stop myself because I wanted to hum to her. So I said, "Oh no, I can't mess this up," and start singing. So yeah, but it was powerful.
love that. Ralph and Kerri, it sounds like you need an audio track of a humming for your extended cut.
I agree with you. I'm like, Marilyn, I wish you would have hummed. I
wish you said something. That would have been good.
Please.
There's time. We're working on sound right now, so
yeah.
Okay.
There's time.
You can put that in, I guess.
Yeah, I get it. Like that was a really, really powerful moment, right? Again, it was all powerful to see the community members, right? I'm like, I recognize that person. Like I know somebody in my community who would come and help do the handiwork where it's needed. The young person who wants that piece of education, who comes to get that learning, your this idea of stitching fabric together for a quilt, but stitching community together, people, right, coming together for this end result, which is you know, warmth, love, support, all of the things that we know occur in a tight community. And to your point about social impact, some of that is shifting now, right? And so, how do you all of you, I'd love to hear your thoughts around like the tradition, the pieces of tradition that hold communities together, even when we see some of these shifts that are very real and that are very timely. You know, quilting is one of them, but I would love to to hear from you all about other ways that communities are being, you know, holding on to those connections in this ever changing kind of dynamic in our neighborhoods.
I think, yeah, it's a big question, but I think the main thing that I know I personally see across all generations right now is this kind of acceptance of individualism. Like they've really accepted the like kind of do it on your own propaganda that um, is often fed to us, and that's just not really how it like any groups have existed and survived adversity. Um, so I guess long story short, the main thing would be in my mind just a growing level of empathy, for those around you. Like just I know people in my generation, it's hard to just talk to neighbors. But I feel like that's kind of an important stepping stone. Being more active literally in your community, talking to more people, and it's dependent on where you are, obviously, but I mean, yeah, I really think that just a general care for the well-being of others, and how we act and go about our day to day, that's probably like the first step that we can do. But yeah, maybe that's idealist.
Yeah, I'll piggyback off of Ralph because I feel like he honestly covered it all. But I feel like film can be a call to action, but it's also a catalyst for conversation. So we're giving back to the community like right now in this moment within the work, bringing people together to talk about these things, that we need to either work on within our community or just look back more into. Because I just think it's necessary. The more that we have, the more care, the more unification we have, even during these hard times. It's what always sees us through, because it's like history always repeats itself. We've been here before. It's been worse. It's been harder. It's been easier. But regardless, we've always made it through to stand through that. So however we can activate, pour into our community, and just have more involvement that's meaningful.
Thank you. Marilyn.
Well, I was just thinking about quilting per se. We need to get more young people involved in it, know more about it, and not just in quilting, but in a lot of things. I think young people don't join groups have causes that they are work with. They just go to work, go home. To me, and maybe I'm wrong, but all the quilters, I'm in 2 guilds, well, a ministry and a guild, and we keep saying we need some more young people. We need them in here. And in the ministry, we only have 2 young ladies that are younger than, we over 60, 65. So we have 2 young ladies. And in the guild, I might know of 1. And we have 200 and some members. So it's just, I don't know whether it's apathy or what, but young people need to start getting involved in quilting and social justice, everything. Yeah.
Thank you. I think that, all of your points are important to discuss. I think because community is being redefined, right? So community for a long time has been being in person, being next to someone in the same space with someone physically, right? I think what I'm seeing now is community is digital, community is online, community is virtual. And so where I see engagement from folks who normally would not be considered quilters, I mean, somebody would say, quilters would be kind of your grandma's, to your point, right? Your grandma's art or your grandma's skill. I see a lot of young quilters, but they might not necessarily be in guilds, right? There's a lot happening online, a lot of virtual classes, a lot of opportunities for folks to engage that way, and that's just a different way of approaching the art. So some people are not necessarily sitting around the quilting frame, right? Folks are home quilting, hand stitching on their lap. There is a resurgence in a lot of handwork, but it is not physically in a group in some spaces. It is what I can do in my own home, especially with everything that's happening in the environment. Folks, to your point, folks want to come home, right, and find their peace. But there is a huge chunk of folks out there, a large group of folks out there that want to balance, right? This idea of I want to share this gift and share this space with people, but I might not want to step out of my house to do it. So I think it is incumbent on all of us to just kind of figure out all of the different ways that we can be in community with each other, because folks want to have it, folks want to be there. And I'm interested, if there are folks who are watching online, what you think about ways that you can hold some of these traditions and carry these traditions along, so that they continue telling the stories, which is a good segue, because I want to talk about the storytelling piece, not in film and in through quilting. Not just the act of quilting, but what it means to tell a story through the quilt. So, Marilyn, I would love to hear from you as the quilter, the many ways you've told stories through the quilt, right? Not just the act of quilting, but through the content, or the subject of the quilt. Like, what is one quilt that you've created, one out of the 500 that you've created, that would tell a story?
Okay. I love to put scraps together. And you can see behind me, I've got plenty of fabric, but my scrap basket is my favorite. And so I'll sew those together. And I tell people when I teach about making a scrap quilt, they say, "Oh, this color doesn't go together." I said, "No, stop thinking. You just need to feel it and put these scraps together. No matter what color they are, it's going to be okay." So scrap quilting is not for you to be thinking about colors and fabrics together and all of that. And I love to give. And so even in my house, I had people coming to learn to sew, just friends, no paying people. But so I had to change my dining room around. I found a sewing table that matched my dining room furniture, so that I could, when people came, they could just get the sewing machine out and get to work. And I have a couple of people who come over to do that. And I like to do things that I can give to the community. I do a lot of, I call them cosmetic bags, but they're for gifts. They're for people that are in need. Everybody loves it. So yeah, I give them to ladies in homeless shelters. I just give them. And I've had a friend say, "You need to sell those." No, I always say those are my gifts to the world, to people, so they'll know just a little bit about quilting, if not a lot.
Love it. Thank you. And
Mhm.
Kerri, thank you for holding that gift up. That gift
Of
of
course.
sharing is, yeah, the creativity. First of all, I have one as well. They're beautiful. They are
Thank
beautiful
you.
works of art, and it really speaks again to this act of giving.
Mhm.
And I think what we're really talking about here is all of the different ways and all of the gifts that you are offering to the community, as you said so wonderfully, Kerri, right? Like this, and Ralph, this conversation is about Bleach the film, which is giving back to the community, fostering those discussions that blend together tradition, the future, right? Marilyn is creates these wonderful pieces that again translate the stories in textile, in fabric, and provides again the service of teaching
Mhm.
and making sure that that tradition is passed down, so that folks continue it, that they feel it, that they're connected to it. I love the idea of, these concrete things that we'll have that mark our space and
Mhm.
time here. This film is one of them. The quilts that you create are many of them. I'd love to hear, Kerri and Ralph specifically, if there are other kind of objects that inspired you throughout the film process, right? Filmmaking process. Another heirloom that connected you to your ancestor. Did you have that kind of connection during this time? And how did that translate into the film?
I know me personally, I had a couple because through my extended older cousins that introduced me to Maryland, they gave me like a great history lesson about my grandfather's maternal side, his mom, and how she was a part of a like quilting circle that they would go visit to, and I got to share that with my dad, who didn't even really know much about what his grandma was up to. um and that was big. That was big. There was many moments like that. They were also really close to my aunt Amelia, whose name appears in the film as as Amelia or Mimi. And she was a big painter. She started painting a lot in her later years, and she had a painting that was of a mother or grandmother quilting and kind of surrounded by her like grandchildren. And it was a beautiful painting. I had never seen it before, and I had um, gotten in touch with them, and they had shown it to me, and I've kind of rediscovered it or discovered it on my end. But yeah, that was one that I was super super excited about. That was like a kind of magical moment to learn more about like that side of my history and everything that I hadn't really known too much about. So that was really cool.
Mhm.
Yeah, on my side, I was back home in Ohio for most of pre-production, so I was able to like just talk to my parents and also my grandma, who is just turned 94 this year, about like quilting within our family and our lineage as well. So just being able to get different information about our history within it, and then like also collecting our family quilts, and then my grandma telling me how her mom was a seamstress as well, and just the different connections. I just think those were the things that I picked up along the way. Interviewing my family members and kind of collecting our family stories is something that I just like to do within process. So it was really nice to kind of connect that within what we were doing with Bleached, because it was right along the way. But I wouldn't say there was any physical object that I found along the way that I was able to discover. It was more so the stories and the different things that were shared to me about my family members too.
Love it. Love it. Thank you. Yeah, I think that you spoke about the genealogy piece, right? And how going through this process really provided you with an opportunity to dig more, to learn more about your family history. And I think that is part of what we want to continue to encourage, right? Know your people. Who are your people? Know your
Mhm.
people. Whether it's a quilt, whether it is art, and usually it is art that brings these things to the forefront, right? Whether it is a trade or something that your family did, your family business, whatever it is, find those moments of connection, right? That keep you tethered, if you will, and tethered in a good way to your family. So you're bringing all of your heritage and the hope along with it. I think that is huge. So thank you for sharing that, those pieces. So I'd love to, your folks are watching, and I would love to learn more, just a little bit about the cinematic process. What did it take to make that film? Just give us a sneak peek into kind of what your days look like, what it took to get to this final version in such a short period of time.
I'll kick that one
Yeah.
off. It was very much a speedy and pressurized process. It was definitely a blessed experience and program, but filmmaking takes time. Usually, the films that you see in theaters, they can take years to make. Some films take 7 years to get developed and shot. So we were required to, honestly, we had about 2-3 weeks of pre-production, and then when we arrived to North Carolina, Charlotte to be specific, we had 3 days of production and 2 days of post-production. This is again a very speedy timeline. Again, we had about 7 pages. You can typically get 7 pages shot in 3 days, but that's very quick for post-production. And when we arrived, we ended up learning that our post-production wasn't really 2 days; it was like 1.5. So it was speedy. And again, this is my first time in Charlotte. Ralph is from the area, but a lot of this is my first time in this city, first time working with a lot of these people. So we really just had to step out on faith and trust. But as Ralph was sharing, it just really was a magical experience with the crew that we worked with. We were just really blessed with very generous folks who were just creative and hardworking and just really passionate about the story just as much as we were. And I feel, like that's really what brought it together. But the process was a bit intense. Our first cut as well for the film was 15 minutes, and we had to get it down to 7 minutes. So it was it was a little bit bloody in the editing, as we say. We had to slash a lot.
Unfortunately.
Yes,
I got a lot to talk about. I mean, it was a crazy experience. All of that and more. I was lucky enough to know about a quarter of the people that ended up on our crew, like from UNCSA, which was helpful. Like I said, we were really lucky to get the location. Shout out to Phil and Sharon, because they were great. We had some logistics hiccups here and there, and they helped us multiple times. So very grateful for them. But it was a very quick process. The script writing process was about a week for a couple drafts. And we outlined pretty thoroughly, so writing that was pretty quick. Everything was accelerated to a point that I had never really seriously done it. I luckily at school, there were some semesters where we'd have to make about a short film a week, and it was way smaller. It was just me shooting and production designing everything. But I was ready for the pressure. Kerri came ready for the pressure as well. And we just got really lucky. All the, as talented as the crew is, they also just had incredible personalities. Everyone was really fun to work with, all super hard workers. So we had talent, we had heart. It was a lot of things aligned.
It was so much fun too.
Together.
I miss it. I miss you guys.
I don't miss the heat. I definitely don't miss standing outside in the heat, in the humidity, or inside with the AC off. But I miss that crew a lot already. I'm so far away from them on the West Coast. So.
Wonderful. Marilyn, what did you learn about film production?
I learned a lot. I'm still wondering why. But the smoke not smoke, but when every
The
The
atmosphere.
fog.
oh, that was the
Mhm.
atmosphere. Okay.
That's what we call it.
It
Atmosphere.
softens the image. It softens
Yeah.
the image.
It softens. It makes it dreamier. It comes across as something softer, dreamier.
Oh, okay.
Exactly.
So I didn't know, but I was saying, okay, every time. But
That's funny.
I learned a lot. And like I didn't, we even had to bring outfits for them to see, and at least two outfits for them to decide which one we should wear. So it was a lot of things that I'd never seen happen before. And we were eating lunch on that Sunday, and I asked a question, and that's when I found out Kerri and Ralph did not know each other before this experience. And I'm saying, wow, they worked so good together though. So yeah, it was a lot to learn about setting up the space, because I got a call, well, I got an email. We need at least 10 to 12 pictures of you. And I'm saying, okay. And those were the ones that was on the wall in the picture frame and like that. So it was, I just didn't know some of the things that goes behind making a film. Yeah.
Yeah. It makes for a greater appreciation of what it takes to do these things that we see, right? I mean, we know that for the movie that we see in 7 minutes or an hour and 40 minutes, it takes months, even years sometimes to create them. Like, we know that, but to really, really be in the space and be in the moment, to see it and to witness the skill that it takes to do that is huge too. I will share here that I had a chance to work with some filmmakers when I was in college, back when we were young and spry. And, the person that I work with is still a filmmaker today, but it was really, really powerful to see and be a part of what goes on behind the scenes, right? I will always remember continuity. So I was the person to make sure that the mug that was in one place stayed in that place. Yeah, and that's huge. So how many takes, if you can remember, did it take to get that scene with Marilyn's hands and with the character sewing, right? And making sure, did it matter whether or not it was in the same position in multiple takes? Did you have to worry about the folds or all of those things? Or were you able to just capture it as it happened? Because that was a huge piece. As you can tell, that's the moment for me. So what did it take to make that scene as powerful as it was?
Yeah, the position you're speaking of is the script supervisor, or like scripty as we like to call, but we actually didn't have anyone who kind of stepped in that position, like an actual person in that role on set. But Ralph was doing a really great job being on monitor, and everybody just tried to make sure things were matched up. So I'd say for that scene, we probably shot it just a few times, because
I think it was really two.
Maybe
two one more
times,
for safety.
It was after a very emotional scene, like where she cried. So just being very much leading with care when it comes to our cast and crew and everybody we're working with. We just, when we know we got what we need, we get the shot, we're good to move on. So we were just really cognizant of that, because as you can tell, Janelle started crying, and what was seen on the screen was felt within the space and environment. So we all just kind of need to get what we need to get, this shot wise, and then take that emotional pause and breath. But it was a beautiful moment just to see it on screen, but also to experience it in real time.
Yeah. Shout out to Janelle.
Absolutely. And I think for continuity of that scene, like specifically, since we really held on just the hands for so long, it didn't have to be too specific. We just had to figure out how to position Marilyn behind her. That was a little awkward, but Marilyn was worked with us very well, so we appreciate that. But yeah, with Marilyn's help with the sewing in general, because I don't think Janelle had any connection to sewing, like no knowledge of sewing beforehand.
Yeah.
So
Marilyn taught
saved
Janelle on
the
the spot. They had a quick quick class before she had to do.
Yeah.
But
With the
Marilyn,
nails.
you could talk about teaching her on set. That was
Yeah.
another element.
Yeah, she told me she did not know anything about sewing, quilting, or anything. And so I taught her how to even thread the needle. But you know, with the thread, you got to cut it on the angle so to get through the needle easier. And she said, oh, okay. And so she did good with that. And then actual the sewing that she was doing, I had to show her how to do that too. So she was fast learner. She was, yeah. And one thing that was different, Kerri and Ralph asked us, were we comfortable touching each other? And we both said, yeah, we're good, we're fine with it. And so the hug and everything, we had to be asked if we were comfortable with it before it happened.
Sure. That's that care and intention. I love it, right? You have to take care of the people on set, and because those pieces are emotional, right? And you want to make sure that you are, that folks are comfortable in the moment so they can give the film and give what's needed. And it really, really comes across. So thank you for sharing that. And thank you for letting us know that there are people who ask about those things, who make sure, that are intentional about your cast's comfort. That it's not just about hurry up and get the scene, right? The care that it takes to do that. So thank you for that. I love that piece. I think that was genuine because it again added to the story. Like, she hadn't quilted before. You probably felt that, but she was finishing her grandmother's quilt. Whose quilt was that?
Oh yeah, that was Kasami, right, Kerri?
Oh, like who created the quilt that we
Yeah,
had for the set?
yeah.
Or in the okay, sorry, I thought you were
Yes.
talking about in the film, but her their name is Kamani.
Kamani
was our textile artist. They made the quilt.
Oh, excellent.
Custom.
Are they a traditional quilter or the
they're more so a traditional textile artist, but they are a quilter as well. And yeah, I'm just very much a fan of their work because they do a lot of studio visual art, but quilting within utilizing forms that connect with the LGBTQ community and then their experiences as well. So it was just nice to be able to have a friend called upon, because when me and Ralph had the idea, immediately we were just kind of like, okay, the quilt is a very important piece. I'm not a quilter. He's not a quilter. Like, we're going to need someone who's an expert in knowing how to bring this magic to life, and in a way that's not like we need special effects and a huge budget, because again, we were working with a passion budget, as we would say. So thankfully we were sent a very passionate artist to help us bring that to life.
Excellent. Excellent. Glad you had someone come in to do that, right? Again, that speaks to the intention of the message, right? And the intention of the art. You didn't, run to Walmart and get something and work with that. You had someone come in and make a piece and provide you with the piece that spoke to the story and the messaging. Thank you. It's huge. It resonates.
Yeah. Can I give a shout out to my grandson, Graham Blackmore. One of the quilts that I bought to the set was his. I've taught him to sew. He's 14 now. And then the picture that was placed Mimi's lap, that was me and my other grandson, Garrison, who's now in college at ECU, when he went to his first quilt show with me. So I'm gonna give them a shout out, even though I know you're not supposed to do that.
Yes, give them a shout out. Give them the shout out. That's what we're here for, right? Give them a shout out. And then a few years later, you can remind them of the shout out, right? So they can, because we expect them to continue to do what it is that they were doing. So
yes,
love it.
Yeah, so that was Graham's second quilt, in fact, that he made.
Yes. Tell him that we want to see him in the guild soon.
Okay. Yes.
Well, I want to share that we have a couple of comments in the chat, and I'm going to pop them up on the screen. Let's see. So Zora Patelos, very nice. She shared that with us early on as we were watching the film. So thank you, Zora, for that feedback. Um, Cheryl B. Are we losing the medium of storytelling through fabric? What a good question. I think Marilyn would love to hear you chime in, and then Kerri and Ralph, if you would love for you to think about it and add your thoughts as well.
Yeah. Well, I'm a traditional quilter, and I call that I love to make again the scrap quilts, and my daughter says that's you're in a G's bend mood when I make those, but I like to use traditional patterns. I'm not into the modern quilting a lot. I did take a class from Caroline Lyles Shaw, who is now passed, but was a prominent Black modern quilter cheerleader and instructor, and she wrote books about it. And I still have that. Somebody recently asked, could they buy the quilt? And I said no, because now it holds more sentimental value since now Caroline Shaw has passed on. So that's the only modern quilt I've made. When I teach basic 9-patch blocks and scrap quilting. So it's traditional for me. And so by me doing that, others learn the tradition, and then they can just take it where they want to. If they want to do modern or whatever, they can go for it. But they've learned the basics from me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I feel like Marilyn summed it up. We have to be the ones to lose the tradition. So they can't stop unless we are in turn stopping the things, because no one else can teach our tradition. So I think having different movements, like I still see a lot of exhibitions, like G's Ben had a whole exhibition on quilting at Spelman's Museum. So I think seeing different pieces of culture still within high circulation places like museums, high art spaces, we're still talking about it and discussing it. But just also how I've seen quilting transfers different crafts and realms. I know a woodmaker who utilizes wood pieces to kind of make quilts as well. So I'm seeing innovation in our generation, as well as quilts being used within fashion. So how we tell the stories through the fabric are similar ways and flows, but they just might come out in a different way, just because with each generation there's a different innovation. So I think it's still continuing on.
Yeah, that definitely seems like it's still continuing on. It probably needs to be encouraged, because it's been interesting how we mentioned having a physical, tangible like object that kind of holds the memory and space of when you make it. I think there's some really cool about that, and passing quilting down is obviously a beautiful thing, and I feel really great that we got to show so much of the quilting community in this. We talked to so many people who are connected to quilting from all different ways. A friend's mom, shout out to Margaret. She got into quilting later in life, but is super passionate about it. So I think obviously there's still an attraction to it, but I think it's cool seeing people like Kamani, especially experimenting with quilting and different textiles. So I think it's definitely, it seems like it's evolving, but maybe just not in the mainstream, But from what I can see, I learned a lot, and it seems pretty lively to me. I like it.
Wonderful. Thank you. Yeah, as Marilyn mentioned, we out here, right? There are a whole lot of textile artists, traditional quilters who are telling stories through fabric. They might be segmented by a traditional movement or a modern movement, or I know there's an organization, the Social Justice Sewing Academy out in California, that has particular projects that tells the stories of people who've been impacted by violence, gun violence. But they are also working with students who are telling stories. Our guild actually spends a lot of time producing exhibits, and we spend a lot of time creating art and quilts to share in exhibits in museums. We're everywhere. We are out here. So to your point about keeping the tradition alive, what it means to you is what we need to carry along with us, whether it's through fashion, whether it's through the quilt for the family, whether it's for the wall hanging. It is up to us to keep the tradition alive and the connection to our ancestors. And that's really what I'm hearing here, right? Is the connection to our ancestors. Thank you, Cheryl B, for that question. We have a question from Valerie Buckingham, wants to know where we can see Bleached. So I'm going to add the information here, but Kerri and Ralph, can you share exactly where they can find it and tell what's happening next? You teased us a little bit earlier and said there are going to be some other things happening. So tell us where we can find it and what's going to come next.
Ralph, you got that.
Yeah. So right now it's on the NAACP's Vimeo channel. So yeah, there it is. And that's the cut that we made for the competition. Right now, yeah, we're extending some things. I don't want to be too specific, but we're definitely enhancing the sound design, changing some things with mixing, with the color grading, like the color of the film. So there will be probably a newer version that will be released to the public at some point in time in general. After some point in time in general. But hopefully sooner than later. So yeah, I'll leave it at that.
Yeah. Our next goal with the next cut is to take it on the film festival circuit. So that's what we're locked in on.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful. Well, I know as we start to wrap up here, I know folks are going to want to keep up with you all to learn more about what you're doing, not just with Bleached, because of course, if there are things that you do to that film, we want to keep up with that. But we want to learn more about the work that you're doing as filmmakers, and we want to stay connected. So if y'all can give us a little hint about where we can find you. And so how we can stay engaged in your work. Marilyn, I'll start with you.
Well, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, and I also have a website, stitchingandstirring.com, and I need to update it, but I have something about myself, and then I have some of my mother's quilts, so that's keeping up the history part of quilting alive, and I just go from there. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. Ralph.
Yeah, I'm everywhere. I'm on Instagram. You can find me at Ralph Parker Film. I'm also at Ralph _ the THA _ RD. And I'm on IMDb. Yeah, that's about it. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. And Kerri.
Yes, you all can find me on Instagram. My Instagram name is KERRI MEAWAYY. It's Carry Me Away with 2 Y's. So that's my Instagram. And then also I have my company Instagram, which is House of Productions. I keep my LinkedIn up to date because, we got to get jobs, all those things, pay the bills. So that's good. I have a website as well, but it is terribly out of date. So it will get up to date soon. But yeah, those are all my locations.
Perfect. Thank you. I will do my due diligence and do the right thing and add all of that information again to the notes here, and I will share it out. It was in the initial flyers for our conversation today, but I'll make sure that our viewers have an opportunity to connect with you if they are so moved to do that. Y'all, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for creating this beautiful piece. Thank you to Marilyn, who said at one of our guild meetings, I have something that you need to see. and she was the one to connect me to Kerri and Ralph. So I want to give the big ups to you, Marilyn. Folks, we will be seeing Marilyn in September for her own Sunday Sewcase, so we can talk specifically about her quilts and her art. So stay tuned for that information. I like to start with gratitude and I like to end with gratitude. It is important that we acknowledge and appreciate all of the many ways people are contributing to society, all the many ways people are contributing to art. And I don't know how much older I am than you, Kerri and Ralph are, but I will say it is wonderful and special to know that our younger people are living the dream and passing along these traditions, these stories. It is just huge. Thank you for doing all that you do, and thank you for honoring us as quilters in your story. So I appreciate you. I'm going to give you all one last chance, one last opportunity to say something wonderful to our viewers and to the world, and then we will head out. So, Kerri, jump right in.
Yes, thank you all for having us. Thank you, Latanya, for putting together this very purposeful, passionate, and just beautiful space. So grateful to have shared this space with you, to share this work with this audience. And yeah, I just can't wait till we can come back and show you guys the next version of Bleach. So thank you so much, y'all.
Yes. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be here. Thank you for the kind words. It was a great time. Always loved. I love talking about film in general, but this film especially is always great to talk about. I'm just so proud of the work we made. I'm so grateful to have worked with Kerri and the incredible crew and the incredible cast. Once again, thank you, Marilyn, for everything. And yeah, thank you, Latanya, for putting this all together. This was a really great time.
Most welcome.
And I like to say thank you all for the opportunity to share something about quilting. I talk about it too much sometimes, and people say no, but yeah. So when I guess when Kerri and Ralph said I sent the email, they probably said, "What is she doing now?" Because Kerri said I'm the best. What was the word you said, Kerri? About
On-set quilter?
Yeah, no, not on site, but
the best distribution. You're a distribution person.
Yeah.
Yes.
I put an article in our Charlotte Quilter Skill newsletter, and it's on my professional association
our marketing
website.
team.
So yeah, I'm out there cheerleading for y'all.
I'm here for it. That is also one thing I've noticed, that the quilting community is so passionate, which I love. Passionate people. You guys are nerds about your work, and that's what we're all about. Okay, I'm here for the nerds. I am one myself, so I was with my people in this one.
Wonderful. Well, thank you all so much. If you two ever want to get your hands in some fabric, let us know. I know I'm volunteering Marilyn, but any of us would love to sit down and talk with you and work with you to create a piece or two. But thank you all so much. Appreciate you. Look forward to seeing what comes next. And as I always say to everybody who's watching, take good care and make good quilts. Have a good rest of your day, y'all.
Bye.
Bye.
Adios.
That's sweet.